Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for film lovers. Every Monday, I sit down to talk about recently watched movies with my dear friend and artist, Danny Haas.
And that Toyota truck. Are you kidding me with that pickup he had? Mamma mia. I wanted that.
And our own spiritual advisor, Protolexis.
How about we do a lo-fi sci-fi month with Danny making that t-shirt he keeps talking about?
Leading Ladies Month Volume 2 continues with my pick, Natalie Portman's sci-fi movie, Annihilation. Was it right that this flopped at the box office? Or is this my new favorite science fiction movie? Let's find out right now. Director Pins Series 2.
Oh my gosh, the kickoff.
The time has come for the second set. As of recording, where this episode drops Monday, if you're listening to the same day, Series 2 will be available on VHSVillage.com as of 12 p.m. Eastern. And we have quite a set designed by Danny, if I could be frank with you. Bert, have you seen this set? Just in one word, describe Director's Pin Series 2.
Wait, did you say me or Danny?
I thought I said Proto, but maybe not.
Oh my God. Danny, take it away.
How do I describe my art?
So let me rattle off the directors.
Rattle them off.
Miyazaki,
King.
Spielberg, Bigelow, Ramsey. These are the directors in the set. Proto, did you have any guesses as if Danny could top Series 1? Do you think he's done it?
Yeah, he has. It's amazing. The Spielberg one, I mean, they're all great, but the Spielberg one, I mean, it should go on his tombstone, honestly. Like, it's so iconic. The hat, the glasses. It's like I could see that from like 50 feet away and know it's Spielberg. It's amazing.
So as with Series 1, you can get a special letterbox Director's Pin Series 2 for $48 with all 4 directors. Look at those smug sunglasses on Spielberg, that son of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can get them as singles while supplies last for $14 for each director. And those will be shipping out within a few weeks of your order while supplies last. So if you liked the first run of Director's Pins, we're back again. We're back at it.
Mm-hmm. And as always, thank you, Letterboxd, for partnering with us on these pins. I love you guys.
The Lynn one is my favorite one.
She came out great.
The hat, the vibe is very strong.
She's got a great vibe anyway.
When are we going to do a Bigelow movie? Point Break.
I mean, God.
Can you commit to it
me.
right now, Danny? Point.
Yes, I'm committing right now to it. I would love to do Point Break.
Danny's
we still have Proto's pick for Leading Ladies Month at the end of this episode. Is there anything you want to tell us right now, Proto?
Right now?
He doesn't know. He hasn't decided.
I know some people are going to be very happy. That's all I'll say.
Oh, gosh.
Whoa.
Rise of Skywalker. Incredible.
So there's the pins. I'm excited. We can finally get these in people's hands. It's been a fun journey. And I mean, there's whispers that there's something else in the works. So I'm not going to talk about anything else. But we should say hello to some new patrons this week also. Noelle, Strudel, Evelyn, Daniel, and Sarah all joined this week. And our most recent episode just for supporters was Hot Fuzz. Just went out to supporters as of this episode being out and about.
God bless.
Did you watch any movies this week?
I did watch some movies. I finally got to watch Drive My Car.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
You guys remember this movie from 2021? A lot of big talk about this movie. People saying best movie of the year, possibly. Could it do what Parasite did? win Best International Film and Best Picture? We all know the answer to that. No. But I did say in my review, I think, even if I didn't think, if it's not necessarily my favorite movie of the year, I think it is the best movie that I saw. I think it's the most unique, engaging, just different type of movie, something that I haven't seen before that was incredibly fascinating. There's one scene early on in the movie that I keep thinking about it. The scene, it's not a spoiler, but it's early on where I can't remember the main character's name, but he comes back because his flight's canceled and he comes into the house. That whole scene I thought was incredible. Real, I just keep thinking about it, and even like that character's whole perspective and the way he relates to other people, just really fascinating. And there's so much like depth to it. But I don't think it's like a very accessible movie for everyone. Like, I don't think it's a great movie, but it's definitely not a movie for everybody. Like it's definitely like a cinephile movie for sure, but that's okay too. So I really enjoyed it, even if it was 3 hours long.
Yeah. How many days was that spread across for you? Is that one night?
No, I watched it in 2 nights. Yeah, 2 nights. Classic 2-night movie.
You mentioned how you thought that might be the best movie or like your fave. I pulled up your stats for 2021. I was just curious.
Oh, no.
To see what you rated 5 stars. Number 1 on your list, Matrix Resurrections, 2021.
What a movie.
What an ep. What a friggin' ep. Beatles Get Back was also rated 5 stars. And finally, your only 5-star rated thing that was released in 2021, The Ninth Jedi.
Oh yeah. Visions,
That's it.
Baby.
That's it. Picture of the year. Vision. Actually, you want to hear something crazy that I just realized this week is that we are now in April of 2022, and I have yet to rate a movie 5 stars.
Ooh.
I respect
I was
that.
looking at my stats. I was like, wow, here we are.
Yeah, the Batman, in terms of movies that were released this year, Batman is the highest for you.
I also watched, to support our friends over at the Bat and Spider podcast, Chuck and Dale. They just hit their 100th episode.
Incredible.
And they did
Happy
The
birthday.
Hitcher, which is a movie I've never seen before. But of course, I remember seeing it in Blockbuster. You know, I've been seeing the cover for a long time. The Hitcher. You know, people talk about it. I was prepared for a movie that was more of like a popular or just known as like a cult classic, but a movie that isn't actually that good. But I think it's a great movie. I think of the thing that it reminded me of is Terminator. I don't know if it's like the single protagonist against this seemingly just like unstoppable force killer. But really fun movie. A lot of surprises, things I wasn't expecting. Just a really great flick. So, you know, I wasn't expecting The Hitcher to be great, but I mean, Rutger Hauer. I mean, he had it, as they say.
Goodness.
Sorry, I was about to ask if I could quote your review, and then I remembered that Paul pointed out in Discord this week, an older app, when I tried to read your Ninja Turtles movie review.
You're losing your mind.
Hold on. Do I need to try to pull up this review?
Oh, no.
Well, your review for The Hitcher, C. Thomas Howell wearing a pair of jeans during the first half that were an abomination, but other than that, acceptable.
Yeah, he had like these really frumpy jeans on. Just bad look. Bad look. But I guess it was a different time.
Your Ninja Turtles review is iconic.
Oh, no.
I can't. I'm getting the giggle. I'll just link it in chat. People can read it. Oh, there you go. So people can read it for themselves. I'm not going to be able to get through it. Danny, what did you watch this week?
I got it in my. I can't stop laughing at that.
I just saw the one.
Pause for editing. Stupid ass.
Shredder line. Too much. All right, continue.
God. I was getting into wanting to watch some lo-fi sci-fi this week, and I checked out a few lists on Letterboxd, and I came across some movie called The Quiet Earth. You had watched it, Slim. A couple others I think had watched it, and it was ready for me to view. It was streaming on, I think Canopy had it. I can't remember where I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a rad film. I gave it 3.5 stars. The acting is quite terrible in it. I will say this. There's a few times where I enjoyed the main actor, but most of it's kind of bad. What I do love about this film is for whenever it was made in 1985, they do such a good job of displaying the last man on earth kind of situation after whatever happened with the science, whatever the science did to make people disappear. Kev just shared the poster. Amazing poster. They did a really good job of making him feel isolated and alone in the city, and big wide shots of an empty city in 1985 looked really real, and like they cleared out entire cities to film this guy kind of wandering through it. And then the times that I did find him quite believable, his performance, was when he started to kind of lose his mind, being alone and isolated, and it was quite interesting. And I really enjoyed the ending of it. It was a good ride. But visually, I love the lo-fi tech when he's in the lab, the giant machines. I mean, it just looks incredible.
Yeah. The ending was probably my favorite part of the whole movie. I thought that was really cool. Really well done.
And that Toyota truck. Are you kidding me with that pickup he had? Mamma mia. I wanted that.
Matthew and Chapman were prepped for the 70mm road trip to New Zealand.
I know.
There was an independent local John.
Yeah, crazy.
Movie. We can drive there?
And then somewhere along the lines in our Discord, I believe Villager Art was patting himself on the back for something he did. I don't know, Photoshop, a letterbox thing, a Photoshop. He shared the GIF of Breakfast Club. So I decided to watch The Breakfast Club this week. Threw on my Criterion disc and sat and watched one of the greatest films of all time. I love The Breakfast Club. I would love to do that film for us at some point. Don't know when we'll fit it in, but I just sit and get hypnotized by that film. I love it so much.
Iconic poster.
Poster.
Maybe like top 10 posters of all time. People recognize. Gotta be. Sheesh.
Anyway, so yeah, threw my Criterion and watched The Breakfast Club late one night, thanks to a GIF that was shared in our village.
Imagine Danny poster-sized art for a Breakfast Club episode.
I would love to do a Breakfast Club poster.
Molly Ringwald month. Ali Sheedy month.
How about we do a lo-fi sci-fi month with Danny making that t-shirt he keeps talking about?
Lo-fi sci-fi month. I think all the poster and a lot of the photography of Breakfast Club was Annie Leibovitz, the photographer, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, that was my week in film.
Big week.
Yeah, good week.
We're rapidly running out of time. We got to get to Annihilation. Just real quick, I do want to call out Swiss Army Man that I watched with Paul Dano, Daniel Radcliffe, and show favorite Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this movie. This came out 2016. It was like one of those weird movies, I think, that was like popping around, but the same directors just did the one that's, super popular right now, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And so I figured I'd see what this movie was. And Paul Dano is on an island, kind of like stranded, and Daniel Radcliffe's corpse comes ashore. And he is like about to hang himself, but he sees him come ashore, so he stops to like try to save him, but he like finds out he's dead. And then he just like the corpse of Daniel Radcliffe starts farting. And he sees this as like an opportunity. He won't stop. He sees this as an opportunity to get off the island. So he rides Daniel Radcliffe's farting corpse like a jet ski off the island. And right at that moment, I was like, am I in love with this movie?
This is a real movie?
This is a real movie. So that's all I'll say about this movie. If that pitch sounds at all interesting to you, then you will love this movie.
This has got to be Daniel Radcliffe's best movie.
He's very good at it. He's very good. The whole cast is very good. I was cracking up watching this movie. I loved it. So if you like their new movie or vice versa, I think you'll probably enjoy the other one. But we have to get into Annihilation right now. This is my pick.
Big pick.
For Leading Ladies Month. A lot of reviews piping in this week. Some 3 stars. I won't name anyone. Their name rhymes with Hannah. In our Discord gave it 3 stars. But this was my pick for Leading Ladies Month. Pardo, what's this movie about?
That's a Kanye West rhyme. Rhymes with Hannah. Annihilation. Lena's husband, Kane, never returned from a secret military operation. 1 year later, he mysteriously reappears, but does not seem himself and falls into a coma. On the way to the hospital, they are intercepted and taken to Area X, a base on the border of a phenomenon called the Shimmer. It is an expanding zone that little is known about and no one returns from after entering. Lena agrees to join the newest team venturing into the Shimmer in search of answers. What they find defies reality and questions what they know about the world and themselves. Annihilation.
Slim, talk to us. Why was this your pick?
Tell us.
Why was this my pick? So I think I talked about some movies that I wanted to do, but they were all kind of like 5 bangers. And this one I feel like was in the middle. Like when I was looking at everyone's Letterboxd review, it was kind of like all over the place. It wasn't just like a big win. And I think it had to do with just the way the movie was, written and shown, and the finale just kind of like left people curious. So I thought it would make like a really fun discussion for us to talk about like longer term thoughts on the movies. And I remember the last time I watched it, I think I bought an Apple TV. And yeah, Sarah in chat says it seems like people rate it higher the more they see it. I definitely noticed that this week in Discord with all of our friends reviewing it. And I had this great experience watching it earlier this year, or last year, 2021, on 4K. And this time around, I actually, it was one of my honorable mentions, but I watched it on Roku, and a while ago, I bought one of those like Roku Pro remotes that like lets you say, hey, Roku, where's my remote? And it beeps. But it also has an audio jack. So for this viewing, I plugged in my Xbox headset and I was like blown away to the point where I was like, why don't all movies force you to listen with headphones on? Like, you get people saying, you shouldn't watch that at home. You got to see it in a theater. Watch a freaking movie with headphones on and your life is about to change, my friend.
Oh my God. Am I doing
Interesting.
This?
I thought it was incredible having just like, I mean, those Xbox headsets that we have are pretty good. Mm-hmm. That you get like pretty good surround sound, but I heard everything. The music was popping. We'll get into it later, but the scene where that musical note hits in the cave, like I was like levitating off my couch, going sideways. It was insane. So I just want to call that out. If you have one of those remotes, I think they're like $20 on Amazon. By all means, do it. Pardo, how many times have you seen this movie?
I've only seen it once before, but my history is I read the book. I guess probably like 10 years ago at this point. I'm not really sure when it came out. I don't even remember why I read it. I think I was just looking for, some kind of sci-fi story that was interesting. And I thought the book was good. I wasn't really blown away by it. It's actually a trilogy. I read the second one, and it was honestly one of the worst books I've ever read. So I didn't continue.
I've heard that a lot. I hear that like from most people that they liked the book, and then the second one was almost like an abomination.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Abomination is a good word for it. Yeah. Like a complete waste of time. Like unbelievable. With this movie, so I saw Ex Machina, which came out in 2015, and I was like, okay, who is this Alex Garland? Let's put a pin on him. Let's keep track of what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So, hearing that the book was going to be turned into a movie, I wasn't necessarily that excited, other than knowing that Alex Garland was directing it. So that had me excited because I trust this guy. He's like, really a rising star in the sci-fi director category.
Do you remember way back when Microsoft was shopping the rights around for the Halo movie to studios, and they totally blew it. But there was like a big story where Garland got paid $1 million to write a script for the Halo movie.
Wow.
I think that might have been the first time I heard his name, but I think he also wrote 28 Days Later. Sunshine was mentioned in chat. The Beach, among Dread maybe too. So this next movie's Men. I haven't watched that trailer yet, but Drink, I just mentioned I don't watch the trailer.
It's okay.
Sorry, everybody.
It's a good trailer.
Danny, what about you? What's your history?
My only history with this is you raving about watching it recent, like 2021. I hadn't seen it. It fell off my radar. I miss it in theaters. I feel like there was no buzz around this film, and I don't feel like anyone that I would have cared of their opinions when it was coming out saw it. If you know what I mean. Like if any ones that I would consider that like sci-fi, and I don't feel like they saw it or just didn't talk about it. So when you talked about watching it, I was like, well, I'll finally watch this thing. So your recommendation of watching it was the first time I watched it, and then this week I watched it twice, and the making of.
Yeah, Jada Kiss mentions how this was misunderstood by distributors. I remember this kind of just being like thrown into theaters with no fanfare, and then I think international distribution, it just went on Netflix outside of the U.S. That is some vivid memories I have.
Interesting.
That had a very strange.
And I do I get it though. This movie it's a lot. Like if you're going to this, I don't like if I think about Annihilation and the visuals, it's like I'm thinking like Interstellar kind of comes to mind with this kind of grand scheme of things, but following this movie is not easy. And so I feel like if you're just showing up for a sci-fi romp, and you get to this film, you may not like it. This is not your typical kind of shoot me off into space so I can discover and find aliens somewhere type sitch.
Yeah. That's funny you bring up Interstellar, because I was thinking earlier, I feel like this movie could be in a trilogy with Interstellar. And then also, I think even more, this movie reminds me of Arrival. Almost like emotional science fiction.
Yes.
Oh my God, emotional science fiction month. Fuck.
I'm sweating right now.
So I chose it, so I guess I'm going first. I mean, my main note is obviously The Lighthouse. I don't know if we want to get into it right now or we want to slow it down. Let's talk about the last 25 minutes of this movie.
Okay.
Please, God.
We'll dig into the heart of it.
So like the Shimmer, they're traveling to to get to the lighthouse where they think this all kicked off, and they finally get there. She gets there. She's behind Ventress, the leader of her crew, and she crawls into this hole and finds her in there. And she, says the name of the movie. She has this great line.
It's inside me now. What's inside you? It's not like us. It's unlike us. I don't or if it wants. But it will grow until it encompasses everything. Our bodies and our minds will be fragmented into their smallest parts until not one part remains. Annihilation.
She like gets subsumed and refracted into the shimmer. You know, the shimmer is like refracting everything, including DNA. So everything's effed up. And then that musical note hits. Natalie Portman is watching this happen in front of her. And that's where, like, full disclosure, I have like a religious experience with this movie. Like, when this starts happening, it's insane from this point on. Everything that happens in this moment is just so wild, audio-wise, visually, and your interpretation of these scenes is like, I feel like I haven't experienced this in a movie before, where like you can have multiple interpretations of what happens after this moment, emotionally, storyline-wise, and they'll all be right.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I feel like you can't be wrong on how you kind of interpret this ending. Even interpret what kind of is happening to the people and the themes that are like laced into this story. I mean, you talk about, you know, cells replenishing each other and turning as like the cancer type vibes, or even, you know, the destructive nature of people and how each of the females that have gone into this film are, you know, dealing with like a destructed kind of life. And then to come out to see Natalie have her experience in like even leading up to crawling down to the hole, watching the footage of, Oscar's character kill himself, but then be replaced by the alien. There's just, it's so, I mean, you're so right. However you want to interpret this ending kind of feels like you're not wrong.
I think the scene, the lighthouse scene, when I think of, there's like a lot of sci-fi movies that you see that they promise a lot, and more often than not, they underdeliver or just don't deliver at all at the ending, or what they're leading up to, or what they're promising. If it's visually or just like story-wise, it's not satisfying at the end. It's like, oh, that was better as a mystery, or just in my mind. It's like, oh, I wish they didn't try to show that thing, or I wish it went a different way. This really is a movie where like it has, you know, this whole idea of like this shimmer, and we don't know what it is. It's a mystery. It's unknown. Like, what could it be? And as you're watching this, to then get to the lighthouse and have such like a really bizarre, otherworldly thing happen in that scene that's so foreign and engaging and interesting and symbolic in different ways, and just like integrated into the story and the character, like it has such a good payoff. It's so satisfying in terms of what it was leading up to. Like, it's one of the few, I think, science fiction movies where I don't feel disappointed at the end by what I see. Because it works on a visual level as like trying. Also, I mean, it doesn't give you the answers really that you're looking for. Like you're saying, like you can kind of come to your own terms about like what this movie means, or even like what this thing was. Like, was it some kind of alien? Was it just like some kind of like biological reaction? Like there's not a lot of explanation to it. And you're left to determine it for yourself. But like what they give you is satisfying.
I think on this viewing, or the viewing that I had last year, I was really struck by like my interpretation of their own refraction in the shimmer. Like, so everyone changes at like a certain point, something happens to them. And like Natalie's refraction is this other self manifested that is like copying her every move. And it, like, in my view, her character, you know, has this affair. She makes like really bad decisions. And then her manifestation is almost like her shame and her grief and depression almost, and this other version of her is just like suffocating her and it won't leave her. And she has to face it at the end of this movie. And I was just so blown away by that in the film. Like you could say that with words in a drama or, any other way, but there's just like Proto said, there's otherworldly explanation or interpretation of her reaction to what she has done in her life. And it's being refracted by this alien thing in a way that visually I've never experienced before. Mm-hmm. And it never says that. Like that's just my view of it. And I feel like it is just so like invigorating to see that in a film. So like the last 30 minutes of this thing, especially with headphones on, kidding me right now?
I also caught this time around it's a quick line when there's the shots of her having the affair. And then when Oscar's character leaves fast, I didn't catch the line the first time I watched this of, did he know about the affair? And is that why he was pushed into this kind of mission? And is his reason for going on this Natalie's fault? And I wonder if the part of her is the guilt, not only the shame of that, but the guilt of the outcome of Oscar's character as well manifesting in that alien humanoid black type figure.
I mean, let's talk about this is still like within these characters, but I watched that making of too. And there was something in that making of that I did not catch at all in any of my 3 viewings.
Oh,
which was, he goes through and talks about, they spent a lot of time on the bear scene, which,
my God.
Full disclosure, I didn't really love. I mean, it was fine. The bear scene where they're tied up by one of the characters because she's going nuts because she's starting to refract. Mm-hmm. And this bear comes in. And Alex is talking about this bear scene. He's like, I want to talk about the scene, but I don't want to get too deep into it. And he has like this weird explanation as to why. But he points out the house
I didn't catch it either until watching.
Is their house.
Yeah.
The house in the shimmer is their home, Oscar and Natalie.
Oh.
Oscar has a bear tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
So this bear is potentially a piece of Oscar being refracted and dealing with what has happened to him in their relationship. He's despondent. He's full of despair. He's walking the grounds of the shimmer. I shit my pants when they're talking about the scene. No clue when I was watching this that was even possible. I even felt like when I was going to bring this up, I'm like, am I an idiot for not catching his bear tattoo? And this is a bear? So I was in the house. I was blown away. Yeah. Had no freaking clue.
Yeah. And it's crazy too. That's the great thing about this film. You could watch it over and over again. And it's just the layers of this film. When they show the side-by-sides of it's the shot when Oscar comes home, when Natalie's painting the room and he's looking up the stairs, is the shot we get when Natalie gets to the home and she's looking up the stairs. She mimics Oscar's coming into that house. And I was the same, Slim, when they started talking about the manifestation of the bear being Oscar, and it blew my mind. And then they showed his tattoo, and I'm like, oh, it's a bear on his chest.
I know, right? Like, idiot.
I'm so dumb. How did I miss this? But that making of, it's what I wanted from this film. I wanted to see them, because it's 4K. I was worried about the gator. I was worried about the bear. I wasn't worried about really much of the inner stuff, but how much practical. The animatronic bear head is incredible. The gator launching it out of the river without the people knowing to get their genuine scare of the women. That was incredible too. I mean, it just, the work that went into this film is, it's just my cup of tea.
Not to stay on this, but let's go back to the lighthouse. One thing I liked, or just thinking about the characters that that all got there, is I remember at one point, I think the Tessa Thompson's character says to Lena before she leaves that you want to go to the lighthouse and a Ventress wants to face what's there and you want to fight what's there. And I think that is kind of how it plays out, because Lena does fight it. And it seems like Ventress, she gets there first. And I think she had already been like consumed by, because that body isn't hers. That's like the creature, right? Because like she then like evaporates as if she was the thing. So like, where did she go? Is like she got there and she like gave herself up to it. But then also thinking of Oscar Isaac's character, where like his reaction was he saw the clone of himself fully formed and then decided that I'm just going to kill myself and you can take over. So like I think that might be play to the idea that he knew about the, about her cheating on him, because for him, it was like, I can't go on with this life anymore. Like this right. other new version of me who doesn't have this memory, this pain, like you could go back and you could live with Lena without knowing of like this pain that she has caused me. So I'll give this up. So I thought that was really cool. Just like the different reactions that they had to like getting to the lighthouse.
Is this my favorite science fiction movie? I ask you.
You know, it's funny. That question was asked in our Discord by KK, and I responded right away, no. But after watching it twice this week, it's back up there. I mean, it really is. I couldn't get enough of this film. And Proto, I know you didn't watch the making ofs. Do you want to know what was another practical effect? The intestines in the guy's stomach rolling around.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe that.
There was a lady behind a wall, like, you know, with
pulling
a towel,
strings,
just pulling strings, and Oscar could actually put his hand in there and pull out the intestines. I'm just like, thank you for practical effects, because it still looked good in 4K, and that's what I was like, man, they did a great job. Well, it's real, it's in camera.
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought that was a bit when it came up in the making of. Like,
I know,
they showed people behind him. He had a prosthetic belly. It was crazy.
Oh,
wow,
incredible stuff. And I'll jump into my number one. Okay. The production of this film, the visuals, the being in the forest. One of my, I think it's top tier. One of my favorite shots in sci-fi is the shot of the soldier's body that has morphed onto the wall.
Yes.
It is like absolutely incredible. The production, like the artistry of, you know, it's like, it's disturbing on one level, but also it's like beautiful. Like the body itself is, you know, is whatever, refracting the colors, the jaws coming off his skull, but his rib cage is there, but that purple and that yellow and the green, I'm just like, that's like dream job situation. It feels like to be able to just create that stuff and even to conceptualize some of the stuff in this film, watching the making of, I'm just like jealous of this kind of work these people did. It's incredible. And it feels like nothing was like, no, this isn't going to work. There's some incredible ideas in this film, even down to just the bodies turning into flowers and the cells and the people standing there as the bushes and kind of stuff. It's just beautiful stuff. I mean, this film, as disturbing as so much of it is, it's quite beautiful.
I liked how the paramedic, when she saw that, she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, you need to wake up, girl. You are effed. Like, you look around you, what's happening?
I think the thing that's impressive about this movie is the amount of restraint that is shown as well, with just the visuals and what's shown. Because even that scene, like that's an incredible visual of the guy in the pool and what happened to his body. And they could have had a scene where they show what happened, because it's kind of insane. Like his legs are sitting there, but then like 10 feet off the ground is his head, but then his like jaw is disconnected from the top of his skull, like by a foot, and it's like he's like screaming. So you have this impression that he was still alive when something like this was happening, and you know you could have shown that, and like that could have, but there's so much that's not shown in this, and there's so much like restraint that's shown. That I think adds to it. Of course, like they leave you wanting more from this.
Yes.
Like when I watch
Yes.
this, I'm thinking like, I just wish there was another hour of them exploring
Right?
the shimmer and finding stuff, but the fact that they don't is I think it's great storytelling.
I mean, how great was it too when they wake up after their first night and piece together that it's actually been, several days at least that they've been in the shimmer, but it hasn't felt that way to them. So disorienting to feel that. Porter, what's your number one?
My number one is really just a theme that kept coming back up. And I didn't really like catch this as much. I think watching it a second time, you just have a lot more to just contemplate what's being said. But the one character, I think her name is Shepherd. There's a scene where they are on the water after the gator attack, which is crazy. Like this gator just tried to eat you all and you're going to go in these boats. I don't think
right.
Like, why are you going on the water?
Staying on foot.
But as she's talking about what she lost, like she lost her daughter to, I think she says leukemia. And she says,
I also lost someone. Not a husband, though. A daughter. Leukemia.
God, I'm sorry.
In a way, it's two bereavements. My beautiful girl. And the person I once was.
and there's this whole theme of course, change and people being different and, how you change over time. And being married, this is something like me and Jenna talk about all the time of how you don't feel like you're married to the person who you were on your wedding day. It's like, we've been married for over 10 years. It's like, I am not the same person at all. And if Jenna, met me who I am now on her wedding, she'd be like, well, you're not the same person. But of course it's so hard to understand that because, we live one moment at a time. So it's just like this one continuous thread of our life. So we feel like the same person, but we're really like so vastly different throughout different stages of our lives. And that is such like a real thing that feels like a science fiction concept. But of course we don't get to meet our past selves or our future selves to really experience that. But that is really so true, I think. I guess the only real experience you could have like that is if you meet, you have an old friend who you don't see for, 10 or 20 years and just the ways that they've changed. And it's like shocking. But I love that theme that, keeps coming up of just how they've changed based on what's happened in their life.
Is this my favorite science fiction movie? Number 2 for me is Natalie herself. We haven't really talked about Natalie's performance.
Our leading lady.
In this movie, our leading lady herself. I think she's amazing in this movie. I mean, almost her first few scenes when she is kind of like taken into like quote unquote custody and she's asking the right questions about who you are, why am I here, what room is this? And she's like starting to piece together potentially what might actually be happening to her based on her surroundings and the people she's interacted with. Her in every scene. I mean, also when she like mows down that gator, when she slowly reveals to people that she's, a former soldier. And there's so much not said from her, like she never really talks about the decision she's made since he's been gone or the affair. It's almost like you're left to interpret based on her unrelated actions in the movie. And I loved it. I loved everything about Natalie in this movie. She's had such a career. Starting that, most people maybe have seen her in Leon at first, but how many young child actors become accomplished adult actors? It's got to be such a small percentage, and she's been in some incredible bangers. Black Swan, anyone? Right, Perna?
Black Swan. Oh my God. Yeah, she really is. I love Natalie. She's one of my favorite actresses. I love her in this. I think she just nails it. Put her in everything. Huh?
Yeah, I agree. Natalie's incredible in this. I also think it's an incredible supporting cast. These Gina and Tessa are incredible. I honestly don't remember the other girl's name. She's also really good.
Jennifer.
Not Jennifer. The one that gets eaten by the bear.
Gina, I think. Right? Is it Gina Rodriguez?
Tiva?
No.
it's not Tiva.
Yeah, that's her.
I think they're incredible in this. It's great to see, like, they're also dressed, they're military. Like, it's like, it feels like this easily could have been shoehorned into 5 dudes. It's not like, if you can correct me, I think they said in the movie that even in the book, they're just referred to as their job titles. And you're left to kind of just assume they're men or women. But so in this, to make that kind of that they're going to be women, I feel like obviously it's a gamble, but it's such a right choice. They're so good in this film. I love the conversations that, like you said, in the boat, but also I love Tessa when she is realizing the prism effect of what the light is doing when they're in the field. And I had the realization of when she starts having the leaves grow out of her arms, they're growing out of where she cut herself, and where she was self-destructing as a person, and her dark side, like it was all growing from where she cut herself. So there's so many layers in this. The women are incredible. And I just love Tessa.
Tessa, come home. I wrote down this one line that Oscar was talking about in his video.
My flesh moves like liquid. My mind is cut loose. I can't bear it. I can't bear it.
I can't bear it. I thought that was so cool.
How about Oscar working on Star Wars and this at the same time and walking back and forth between the Pinewood Studios?
Oh, wow.
Whose decision was it to give him that terrible accent? Why did he even need that accent? Right?
I don't know.
Whose turn is it? Danny, you're number 2.
Number 2, I got to talk about the bear. I know you said you didn't really care for it, but that scene is terrifying. But I think what makes it terrifying is it mimicking the scream of Jeannie, who she killed.
Shepard.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it, but it rips out the throat of her when Natalie finds her. And he makes the sound of her screaming. It's not a bear roar. It is so unsettling to see that creature. I mean, the skull growing out of the side of its skull. It's like decaying as a creature. It's such a gnarly design. That's what I feel like the word is that keeps coming back in my head for this movie. It's just gnarly.
Yeah.
Everything looks so gross and crazy. But that bear scene, it's intense.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I just it wasn't like my favorite scene in the movie. I mean, the scream
rips out her jaw on the
scre-
floor.
The scream is nutty. Also, the idea that they pieced together that like maybe a piece of her, like literally her voice box has melded or refracted into the bear. God. And it's almost like not just a mimic thing, but it's like literally a piece of her is living on in the bear.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a wild idea that everything is refracting against itself. And then I think Ventress has that like great line of just how like eventually everything will just be like atomized to its smallest point, and then there'll be annihilation. It's a crazy concept that you could do so much with in terms of just ideas. And they explore that so well in some of the, like, I love the scene where there's like that, it looks like a deer that has like a mimic deer where they it looks like they share the same mind because all their movements are exactly the same. Or if that's, if the what happens in the lighthouse where it like completely replicates it, that somehow that happened to this deer and is able to just like live side by side with a version of itself. There's a lot of small moments like that. Even the lighting when they're in the shimmer is like insane in this movie. It's just like a prism of color through all the trees. It's really cool.
Visually, it's visual feast in that forest. It really is. I mean, even when she goes down into the underside of the lighthouse, the lighting in that scene is wild. Like I thought some of that would have been the art too, like her walking down there with a gun or any of those
That was my problem.
shots.
I was telling you, my problem with doing art for this, I didn't want to do such a spoilerly scene for this film because the amazing shots are too much.
Yeah. And in chat, Trainer said the alien ship interior. This movie does give me like Geiger vibes in some ways, almost as if he had like a light side rather than just like always a dark side, like you see with like the alien art. But it definitely gave me like Geiger vibes with a lot of like the design of this.
I mean, even the surroundings of the lighthouse that were like, popping up on the beach. And then when those things, light on fire and have like this molten look, just like collapsing on the beach.
Yeah, that last tree that falls is insane. I mean, Florida never looked so good.
How about the on the beach? There's like 4 skeleton torsos and then like 10 skulls. Does he talk about that at all in the documentary?
It's just there. Love it.
I mean, like Danny said, imagine being on that team putting all this stuff together. I mean, this is the coolest gig ever.
No one said no to anybody wanting to make something in that film.
So for comic nerds, in the documentary, Jock appears. Yeah. Comic readers will know Jock. And also he's done concept art for Last Jedi and a host of other movies. But it was cool to see him also in the doc talking about him being buddies with Alex Garland, working together on movies. And seeing some of that concept art. There was also, last thing I'll say about the documentary, but Alex Garland brings up Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Pretty heartily. I think, he grew up in the UK and talks about Alan Moore's impact on him growing up. And, we don't talk about comics too much on here, but Saga of the Swamp Thing is top 2 all-time greatest comic book that I've ever read. It's the greatest love story ever told. So if you're looking to get into comic books, you need to read Saga of the Swamp Thing. And I mean, some of this stuff in here, if you liked Annihilation, you'll really love Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. It's quite a journey.
And he said the walking bush looking people were a direct reference to Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he did say, he's like, oh, you can actually see Swamp Thing in those scenes. I mean, I went back, Alex, I didn't see Swamp Thing. So
can you give us a screen
cap,
Alex?
Don't F with me like that, my friend. Proto, what's your, did we get Proto? Is it Proto's 2?
The score, I really enjoyed the score of this, especially how it transitions. It has mostly just acoustic guitar, I think at the beginning of this until they really get to the lighthouse. It reminded me a lot of Nick Drake's album, Pink Moon. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that.
Excuse me, no.
But yeah, it had very, very strong Nick Drake vibes from the score. But it's kind of, it has like it's an interesting choice because it doesn't necessarily fit with the content, but it gives a nice, I think, I don't know, I guess like a nice pairing with what you're seeing. To me, it worked really well.
I wrote this. That was actually one of my top 3 was
mine
the score with her. I mean, there's scenes where she's looking back on her life and her decisions, and then it cuts to the Shimmer time frame, and she's walking with the gun, and you hear like an acoustic guitar playing.
Yeah,
and I was so struck by that. Like you could have easily just assumed you would get some kind of funky Hans Zimmer thing.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. God, words out of my mouth.
But
you expect the like percussion or women choral screaming in your ears every 3 seconds. I mean, the Hans Zimmer
bagpipes.
Yeah, they easily could have done that, but I feel like the acoustic guitar gives it some levity. I think it could be a much heavier, darker film if they went full synth the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. My last note. We went through most of everything that I had. Gosh, yeah, I think we might have just hit everything. We'll just go to Danny. What's your number 3?
Well, let's talk our thoughts on. I know we've talked Lighthouse, but let's talk our thoughts on the finale on Natalie returning, the lighthouse burning down, Oscar coming out of a coma, not going to die anymore. But we know that the Oscar there apparently is the clone Oscar.
Right. New Oscar.
And we see the shimmer in Natalie's eye still. So what'd you think? I mean, for me, I feel like it's obviously not the clone. I don't think it's clone Natalie, but it's also not the same Natalie. I feel like her cells have all changed, the shimmers in her, and she's a completely new person coming out of this. But how'd you guys take the ending?
I mean, she does talk about how she tries to explain to the scientists that it wasn't destroying everything. It was making something new. So I choose to view it as, a positive thing where Natalie has put her past behind her, but it's still with her, as it should be. She should be like aware of like all of her decisions that she's made in her life, but she can continue on with a second chance. But I mean, I don't really trust new Oscar to be not a freak.
New Oscar.
I mean, he seems pretty. He's got like no personality. He seems like a real dud. So I don't really know how to view their relationship moving forward.
Someone give him an acoustic guitar.
I mean, I liked it. Yeah, I guess I took it as most people don't get to get like those kind of second chances. So I thought it was like Natalie's character was given like this unique chance to start over with someone who she really like. You see that she regrets the mistakes that she's made and she wishes she doesn't do it. I mean, that's like a powerful scene, I think, when she's in the bedroom with the guy she cheated on, and you can just like the things she says, about, or like he says about her hating herself and just telling him to get out. And you can just see like she regrets how she got here. And just the idea of like, we make self-destructive choices. And it seemed like Natalie was making, there's the part in the movie where she can, so the two want to turn back and leave. And Natalie convinces them to continue going on, saying like that's their best way out of here. But then it cuts to her telling the people back at Area X that she was actually lying. She didn't know, but she thought that's what she wanted to do. So she was able to convince them of that. So it was like that seemed like a self-destructive choice that she was making to continue on, where she probably knows that like, I'm not going to make it out of here. And I don't know if I want to make it out of here. But at the end of the day, she kind of got what she didn't expect, where she gets out of there and she gets her husband back in some form.
How about Gina Rodriguez's tattoo refracting onto Natalie? That was pretty cool.
And it's on the body of the guy forming on the wall.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's on that soldier's arm too on the wall.
What?
So good. What? There's so many layers.
How deep does the rabbit hole go?
Proto, your number 3.
I think I'm in the same spot. I think we really covered everything. In some ways, there's like a lot in this movie, but when I think of like the scenes and the things to talk about, I wouldn't say like I feel like we've hit everything.
Yeah.
That's
Sarah
important.
asked, did Gina for sure have the tattoo before going in? I don't know. I'm going to have to do a rewatch on that.
We're going to have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Oh, my only honorable mention is Natalie Portman's ears. I'm usually, I have a thing for earlobes. If they're connected or not connected. I just prefer the unconnected earlobe.
Thank you.
Aesthetically more pleasing. But Natalie has connected earlobe. I forget what that's called, but hers are like very beautiful.
It's called attached.
The attached earlobe. I really like hers. They're great. I had a great time watching this. It is a visual feast. It looked great in 4K. I'm at 4 stars for Annihilation.
I will say I've never had a thought about earlobes connected or otherwise before this moment. And I've
Really?
opened thine eyes.
We literally had this
into the
conversation at
future.
our dinner table tonight.
What are the chances?
I know, it's so weird.
So I was at 4 stars the last time I watched it.
Uh-oh.
I'm at 5 stars for Annihilation.
What?
I had an incredible experience the last 25 minutes of this movie. They're my favorite science fiction moment in a film.
Mhm.
And it's going to be hard to top. Paul just screenshotted me saying that I drooled on myself earlier today. What a film. Loved it. And again, the Discord kind of said it, like, you get more out of it the more you watch it. And the last time I remember saying that on the show was for Arrival. And I remember saying that I hate when people say that. So I'm now going back on my own statements twice in the history of this podcast. The first time it's ever been done.
That's correct.
I need to see I didn't see what my star rating was before this. I don't know how to do that.
Danny, honorable mentions and final rating.
I was at 4.5 before this. Honorable mention. I was surprised neither of you brought up Oscar's chest cavity. Just like
I saw that. I noticed it.
There, thank you. I knew you guys would. It's got that Sam Neill chest cavity.
Yes.
Sam Neill School of Chest Cavities.
Yeah. I like I said before, KK brought up in chat, is this the best sci-fi film? I said no, but I'm wrong. I don't think it's not my favorite. And I had to think, is this better than Arrival? And to me it is, because I don't have to stomach Jeremy Renner in this film. So to me, this is definitely better than Arrival. I'm at 5 stars. I can't help it.
Wow.
I like this time better than my first time watching it. So
floating drugged out Homer.gif right now. I think that Homer gif is from a music video that's pretty catchy. Can anyone confirm what that gif is from? It's from some kind of, it's from a YouTube video that I watched before. Chat is beside themselves right now with these ratings. We'll have to see who won the V-Joshis this week. Remember, we talked about before, legal gambling in our Discord. We're across state lines on the internet.
We cleared it on a federal level. We're good.
The federales cleared it for us this year. Annihilation. I'm so glad we're able to talk about it and discover new things with it. Documentary is insane. I highly recommend it. Thank you. It's on YouTube. Thank you for, I can't remember who linked to the documentary. Was it you, Danny, or was it someone else?
No. Someone dropped it in one of the channels. It's also in the live chat somewhere now. But yes, it's an hour 17 on YouTube. If you like the behind the scenes stuff, please watch it.
We have some emails to get to, and you can send us those at 70mmpod@gmail.com or just use the links on 70mmpod.com. Dear friend of ours, Catcher, co-host to the Synonauts podcast, and there's whispers that Catcher, might be on in a future episode. There was talk in an uncut episode in the past about the Zodiac.
Goodness gracious.
Never seen it. Catcher writes, this movie is the best. Murder bears, interpretive dance, and strange tree people, not to mention wonderful bookend performances from Oscar Isaac. I walked out of the theater convinced this is in my top 5 favorite sci-fi films ever. Alex Garland forever. If 70mm could only send in one host to the lighthouse for an alien dance battle for the survival of the human race, who's getting in? And that's with love, Catcher. I feel like if we have an opportunity for one of us 3 to connect with a higher being, there's no competition and Proto's going in.
No competition.
It's almost like we wouldn't even speak about it. We would just nod to each other and Proto would just walk in. And maybe we'd see him in the future. I don't know.
I've seen the way Slim operates in a graveyard past midnight. He's definitely sending me in.
Catcher
thank you,
saying
Catcher.
leaving a theater, though, that makes me mad that I didn't get to see this in a theater. I'm frustrated. I would have loved to have seen this on a big screen.
Wow, now. God, that scene is so good. When she says Annihilation and she looks up and the lights come out of her body.
Yeah.
Holy God.
The orbs around Natalie. Gosh.
Joe has emailed in. We got an email from Joe.
Talk to us.
Hello, 70mm Slim Proto Danny. So, I've been listening to this podcast for a few months now, and I cannot imagine my life without it.
Oh, man.
I'm sure it's been mentioned in a previous email, but you all should be so proud of the space you've made here. From Slim crying over a 4K restoration of Lawrence of Arabia, to Proto's Batman calls, and Belle, of course, to Danny's incredible art that we've been blessed with every single week, and of course, the VHS Village. Who'd have thought that there'd be a space where no one judges your taste in movies? I'm looking at you, Twitter. I've been going through a difficult time as of late with my mental health, and this podcast has honestly been a shining light in an absolute shitstorm, so I thank you. I'm very much looking forward to the chat about Annihilation this week. 15 stars? ? I'm hoping one of these days I'll be able to listen in live. Anyway, take it easy, Joe. P.S. Slim, I hope you pre-ordered The Bridge on the River Kwai 4K Steelbook. Joe, I got a text from my wife that I'm not allowed to buy anything for the next 10 days. So hopefully in 10 days from now, I'm pre-ordering that bad boy. One of those, Joe, let me tell you one more. You're in a shit stage of your life. Amanda wants me to go through our finances this weekend. You ever go through your finances with your wife? Where she prints out the expenses, like literally your PNC bank statements with like circles, things with a question mark? There's no worse moment that I can think of right now in 2022.
Self-destructive tendencies start to come out.
This is I'm back in the shimmer.
You're going to refract.
Thanks, Joe. We have some VMs to get to. This is a popular film, but there was one I think that was just missed last week from Jasher. Jasher, I don't think I played this one last week. Did I?
Oh.
But anyway.
Hey 70mm, it's Jasher here, or Jashzilla in the Discord. This is a little bit of a late voice message actually about last week's The Piano, which I have to admit didn't blow me away. I definitely appreciated aspects of it, and it was cool to see something made here in New Zealand just to see the similar sights and hear the similar sounds. But I'm glad that the three of you loved it. And could we just take a second to talk about Danny's artwork? That poster? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Danny, you hit it out of the park every single week. It's crazy.
Thank you.
Anyway, I randomly mentioned to my parents this past week that I saw The Piano, and my mum told me that her dad, my granddad, actually helped out on the film. Apparently, he created the buttons that were used on the jackets of the crew that bring Ada to New Zealand at the start of the movie. So he created and made these buttons, and then his sister scrimshaw designs onto them, which was pretty awesome to find out, and just a crazy connection to last week's movie that I never knew that I had. I don't actually think anyone in the family ever watched the movie, due to the infamous scenes of Harvey's bare ass. But hey, I'm glad I gave it a shot. Anyway, that's all. Hope you enjoyed Annihilation. It's one of my absolute favorites. And just thank you all so much for being such great hosts and starting such an awesome community. I'll see you later.
Do you feel the love right now?
I do.
Do you feel it, Proto?
I do.
Proto looks like he's making a meme right now.
He's mulling over his pick right now.
He's sweating it. Thank you so much for the VM. That was an amazing. I imagine finding out people connected to you in any way.
It's crazy.
Made anything minute on a film.
So rad.
Makes me sick. Kev just linked to Jashzilla's podcast, Podzilla. You actually got Podzilla. Jasher and Micah Drake watch through every Godzilla movie and share their thoughts on the insane kaiju madness.
Oh my.
I love that.
There was a period of time where James was hardcore into Godzilla movies. Hardcore. Let's see. Who else we have? Jadakiss.
Hey, 70mm crew. It's not Jadakiss. I'm currently sitting in the parking lot of my local AMC, about to head into Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in Dolby Cinema. Before that, I just wanted to say how excited I am to hear the episode on Annihilation tonight. I watched it twice in the past week. It's absolutely one of my favorite movies. I can say that with confidence now. I feel like it's one of those rare movies that the more I watch it, the more I like, and the more I want to come back to it. So really excited to hear the conversation on it tonight. One thing I wanted to point out from my last viewing that sent chills through pretty much every inch of my body were the lyrics in the song when Kane first comes back into the house. When he sees Lena for the first time, it says, "They are one person, they are two alone, they are three together, they are four or each other." A really beautiful moment in a movie that I think will grow to be one of the best examples of science fiction that we have. Hope you guys liked it. Super excited to hear the conversation, and thank you for everything you do.
Wow. From the parking lot of a movie theater, this should be the new official location to leave VMs for the pod. Where is the A24 book for Annihilation? You get all these crazy artists put together some 500-page book that A24 is going to charge out the ass for that I can't buy yet for another 10 days. Where is this book in my life?
Seriously, man. Imagine like the concept art that they didn't use.
Oh my gosh, they show it too in the making of a couple quick shots of them.
Paramount, please. Paramount, I know you're listening. Can we make something happen here? Can Danny do the cover art at the very least? That was another question I had. Ventress had cancer. What happens when cancer is refracted into the prism? Is there any kind of side effects of that going on, that getting spread around? Don't know.
Oh, no, man. So many questions.
Look inward. Can't even speak. Let's see. We referenced KK earlier. Why not hear from VM?
Let's hear from him.
Hey there. It's KK. It's weird how movies manage to cross your path at such perfect times. Saturday, March 31st, 2018. My daughter wasn't even 3 months old yet, and my life was changing. I was staring down some impossible barrier, and I didn't even know to what extent that little girl would come change my life. The only thing I knew was that the old me was dead, and some half-formed thing was still taking his space, however slowly. So, with a head full of parental existentialism, I headed out for a relaxing time at a local theater.
Oh.
As I'm sure you could have guessed, the showing of the night was Annihilation.
Sonic 2.
It was the emptiest theater I've ever seen.
Oh.
A truly horrifying experience that I managed to share with only one other equally frightened man. And we exchanged hesitant looks throughout the entire runtime.
KK's clone.
In retrospect, Annihilation is very obviously one step on the path that made me love movies. Nothing has ever come close to the pure lizard brain panic of the bear attack or the unknown silent moments that I spent looking over at Dreamy Austin once the night was done. So, thank you, 70mm, for leading my mind back to that time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Incredible
KK.
moment. Wow.
Get a lot of movie theater stories
Love it.
recently. This is in general too. I feel like we've hit on something.
Yeah. Moments.
Yeah. Thank you, KK. Did you apologize to KK yet?
I don't know if I actually said it, but KK, I'm sorry.
Sarah and Chad, imagine being alone in the theater watching Annihilation and turning to look at yourself.
Golly.
Eat chocolate pudding in my pants.
I just be able to get to see this in theaters. I'm still mad about that. God.
Remember that tweet that went viral this week about that person who saw Morbius and took the photo with that guy and accidentally had the flash
If the flash on,
Oh my
excuse me. I would have left my body.
Sheesh. What if we rent a movie theater
I'm listening.
and we bring a Blu-ray for Annihilation?
I'm listening.
Just throwing
Make
it
it
out there.
happen.
Let's see. We have another VM.
Hey guys, it's Paul. I just wanted to quickly leave this VM for Annihilation. I remember when this movie came out and really not knowing anything about it, with the exception that it was Alex Garland doing a another sci-fi thriller, but this time with Natalie Portman. So I was very interested, and especially after seeing that poster art, really piqued my interest. But walking out of it, however, I was completely blown away by just some of the visuals that I saw with the bear monster and the mimic at the very end of the movie, and kind of the abstraction of the organism that she sees in the bottom of the lighthouse. It was all just like completely mesmerizing. And I love how the film kind of deals with, the past trauma, that's kind of woven throughout the story. It's really interesting, I think. I think maybe my favorite detail of the film is that when they're questioned of like what the organism looked like, that nobody can describe what they saw. I just think that's kind of a good detail that, when Lena's being questioned, in the beginning and kind of the end of the film, she can't quite describe what they saw, and everything was just a mystery. You can only experience it if you're in the shimmer. So yeah, it's just great all around. So thanks for listening to my VM. Keep up the great work, guys, for everything you guys do for the podcast. Quick shout out to the VHS Village for all of those who are on our Discord. You guys all make up for a great community that I love being part of, and it's truly special to me. So thank you to everyone there. All right, guys, take care. Bye.
Paul's first VM. Was he in a movie theater parking lot? Yes, no.
Did he bring his microphone?
Did he bring his Yeti microphone to the backseat of his car? I was going to say, I agree, because I remember watching the end of the movie and she had no answer for his questions. What did it look like? Was it carbon based? She literally could not answer those questions. She didn't even bother to, or could not. So yeah, it's a great point. I didn't think of that.
I kept thinking about the Babadook in this film too. The way a traumatic story is told through horror, and this is a traumatic stories being told through sci-fi. It's a really interesting vein of storytelling that I'm definitely connected to.
Yeah, I had Babadook in my notes. I just didn't say it, but I definitely felt the same way. I think that is it for the feedback this week, and now it's time for the real main event. We've been waiting 78 minutes to hear Proto's pick for the leading ladies month. And he allegedly says some people are going to be very happy with this pick.
Oh, yeah. You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
It's been 1 year since we've done an animated movie. Our last animated movie that was a feature presentation was Iron Giant. We did last April.
That was the last animated film?
I just say I'm getting chilled up right now. I'm getting very chilled up right now.
Yeah, I thought you would be. And when you think about it, the animated movie. I mean, they're saying them in chat. Princess Mononoke, right? Spirited Away. Andy, Frozen, please no.
Can someone ban Andy from chat? No one has said what I think Proto might pick so far.
There's a lot of movies. But I thought that was just interesting. I'm not picking an animated movie.
Oh my!
Someone else will have to pick up the cross.
Son of a gun.
There's another cross that I have to bear because there was a request that was put in for someone to make a sacrifice.
Oh no!
Danny didn't make the sacrifice. Slim was specifically called on, and he refused to make the sacrifice. But it fell to me, and it's time. It's time for me to lay down my pick once again, as I have done in the past. I expect no praise for this. I expect nothing in return. But this is just what I want to do. So we got an email from our listener Sydney, who said they were they struggle in the pig pens every day, cleaning them. That's their job. And Sydney, if you're there now listening, this pick's for you. I'm picking for Leading Ladies Month, Moonstruck.
Holy cow.
Excuse me.
Left field pick. Sydney just stood upright in pig shit.
She just kicked the pig.
Holy crap. Was this always on your mind? What's happening here?
No, this is for Sydney. I've never seen Moonstruck.
God.
I mean, I might hate it.
Have you seen it, Slim?
It's on
I
them.
watched it recently for the
That's
Letterboxd show, but I
right.
have not revealed my full
My
thoughts
reveal
on this
is
film.
there. My reveal is already. I can't get to the letterbox fast enough to delete my reveal.
I won't look at it, but I will say that this is streaming right now on HBO Max.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Wow.
What a pick.
I feel like it's a good balance.
Yes.
We have we had The Piano, pretty serious movie,
Mm-hmm.
Annihilation, emotional sci-fi. Now, some levity with this is what is this,
Great
a
pick.
rom-com?
This is,
Yeah,
is this our
yeah.
first Nicolas Cage movie? I
Is
asked you.
it?
Can anyone confirm whether or not we have not done a Nicolas Cage movie? Cher, Nicolas Cage, Olympia Dukakis, Danny Aiello,
Oh, Danny in this film. Mamma mia.
Norman Jewison, who he's directed a few hits. Fiddler on the Roof, The Hurricane, In the Heat of the Night, Jesus Christ Superstar. Ever heard of him?
Goodness.
Wow, I'm excited to talk about this movie with you too. Sydney, I hope your days are just a little bit brighter right now. Thanks to our resident hero
Mm-hmm.
and spiritual advisor, Pret Alexis.
Proto Christ himself. Proto Christ superstar. I'm making that shirt.
Prudbot's not going to let you post any kind of proto face deeps on Jesus in our Discord.
Mike?
Mike's getting a timeout in chat. Sorry,
Timed out.
Mike.
10 minutes.
What an app. What a journey. We're not quite done. We've got Moonstruck and then another week after that. After Moonstruck. Proto.
Big week.
Also, just a reminder, the pins, 12 p.m. Eastern as of release day, Monday. Get in there. Get the set. Get the singles. Get whatever you want. Hop in there before they're gone. But Proto, any closing thoughts this week?
Any closing thoughts? Watch Annihilation if you haven't seen it. It's a good movie. It's great. Maybe some even say the best.
Ran the gamut on that one. We'll see everybody for Moonstruck. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pert Alexis. Producer at large, Dale_A. Transcripts provided by Sophie Shin and music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.